Okay, welcome to day 9 of Demystifying African Spirituality. We are on the last day of the summit, and we're here with Max Imana. Welcome, Max, to the day 9.
Thanks, Joy. Thanks
How
for
are you
having me
doing
on
today?
the show. I'm doing really good. I'm really excited to be here and excited to have this conversation. It's a very important topic. So, and I'm really passionate and excited about it. So, yeah, thank you. How are you
Yes.
doing?
Thank you so much for delaying your sleep. I think it's 9 p.m. where you are, so that you can join us today.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Yeah, so excited as well. Today we're talking expanding consciousness into the spirit realm, really expanding consciousness, elevating consciousness, which is the perfect way to end this summit because we've been talking a lot about why we are called, why we are light workers, why we need to heal, why we need to activate the inner healer within ourselves. And we're going to now go even deeper and a little bit more advanced with why we also need to expand our consciousness and how that fits into our journeys right now as people of African descent, as human beings, and so forth. Let's just adjust my speaker. Okay, so exciting. So I just wanted to share a little bit about Max, who is going to be our guide today. For those who are meeting you for the first time, they can know a little bit about you. Max is a body shaman and a shamanic energy healer. You termed this body shaman, so you will tell us a little bit more later about what this means actually to be a body shaman. And he has a lot of experience in, I have no idea how to actually pronounce this, the QI-QO-N-G. How do you pronounce that?
Qigong. So
Okay.
Qigong is an ancient Chinese martial art that's about mastering your breath and mastering your emotions and everything in your body. So yeah.
Yes, okay. You will tell us all of that. And remedial massage, muscle balancing, injury prevention and recovery, breath movement, meditation, self-massage techniques. Basically, alternative healing modalities and energy medicine is what you specialize in, and you work with the different types of people along mental, physical, spiritual healing and empowerment, which is my kind of thing. I'm so excited to go deeper with you about your journey, also on the topic of today. So if you're joining us for the first time, just wanted to say we will be using the chat to chat. You may use the chat to talk to us, and the Q&A for any comments and questions later on during the day. I will also have some questions that people have been asking me that I will also bring into the Q&A later on today for you, Max. Yes. Okay. So before we jump in into your journey, wanted us to set sacred space and also give a lot of thanksgiving to the guides who've been with us in the last 9 days. So we may do that and also just ground ourselves a little bit. Max joining me and everyone who's joining us today and later on, just allowing ourselves to connect with our sacred heart using the breath. And allowing ourselves to sink in to this sacred heart that connects us to ourselves, to the quantum, the galactic center, to each other as well. And from here, inviting in our higher selves, our I am presence, to be our anchor throughout this session, throughout this dialogue. And inviting in our ancestors, our grandmothers and grandfathers, the elders, the ancestors of our blood and bones, the ancestors of the lands that we come from and the lands that we're in, and the ancestors of the stars and the galactic, the cosmic, that are journeying with us at this point in time and supporting this mission of awakening and expanding and elevating consciousness right now. And also connecting with the wisdom of the elementals, the wisdom of the spirit deities, the spirit animals, the magical creatures that are awake, and sending in divine transmissions and knowledge throughout currently, and are opening ourselves up to higher light, higher support, higher wisdom from intergalactic guidance as well, and allowing this to be the anchor of today's transmission, and also connecting with the law of one, the law of unconditional love, the law of Ubuntu. In Africa we say Ubuntu, that connects every single one of us. And we invite this energy throughout this transmission, and we allow ourselves to be the vessel of this divine wisdom, this divine law and divine will. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is. Ashe, aha.
Thank you, Joy.
Yes. How are you feeling now? I love this because it's so grounding.
I feel great, feel really relaxed. Good. Thank you for doing that.
You're most welcome. Okay, so let's jump in, Max. Starting with telling us more about your journey, your own personal journey into ascending your own consciousness, where it started and where you are currently with this journey of elevating, activating, and expanding your consciousness.
Yeah. So I call myself the Body Shaman, and basically I call myself that because I combine movement and embodiment with shamanic energy healing. Because I started my background in remedial massage and boxing. I started my training and boxing and qigong and all my embodiment stuff. But that's what I started with before I started my shamanic healing energy work. So I just combined the two things together because embodiment is what I'm all about, and that's what this journey is all about, really. Because there is a distortion that we need to basically to ascend, and I got caught up in that distortion that is about ascension, but really ascension means embodying more of your soul. And so the more the more you do this healing work and go on this journey, the more embodied you become as a soul, and so that's why I call myself the Body Shaman. And I started my journey with boxing. I mean, I was on a self-destructive path for a long time, ever since I was a teenager, until I was about 21 years old. And then something it was actually 2012. And I started having these awakenings to my soul and these remembering past lives and just realizations of what's happening. Like, I think my third eye began to open. I just started to see things and have knowings that started coming through me, and that just flipped the switch in me that I needed to turn my life around. And so I started training, I started boxing, and that's basically how I started my journey. And then that led me into massage and body work. And now I've been doing shamanic energy healing for 2 years, and it's been really amazing journey.
I can definitely resonate with just being on a journey which is not similar to this one, and then 2012 arrives, and then all the things, they just get more clear. Your inner visions gets opened up, and you start downloading. That was the same thing for me. I mean, I did wake up in 2009, but more of it got more grounded or clearer in 2012. And I think this has been like a universal journey for so many people, where it's like in the last 8 years, it has gotten really expansive, and we have gotten more people waking up and realizing that there's more to life, and realizing that there are consciousness that's so much more than just a physical entity. They are a physical entity, but there are also so many other things as well. And this has been a journey that we've all been collectively been in, and it's interesting and fascinating, and we are still in that journey, and it's continuing and so forth. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So there you are in 2012, and you're starting to realize that, oh, okay, there is something called past lives. There's also this that's happening with me. Just take us through that journey of the discoveries that you traveled through, essentially, from 2012 to today, and how you've been advancing in consciousness, essentially.
Yeah, so in 2012, as you're aware of, there was like an energy surge into the planet. So many people started to awaken in 2012, and I was in a very like destructive state for a long time before that. So drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and just not really caring about what's happening in my life. You know, just partying and having fun like many teenagers do. You know, but then I just remember my younger brother started to awaken before me, and he was telling me about energy and about how he could see energy and how he could feel energy in his body and all this stuff. And I wasn't sure what he was talking about, but part of me knew, you know, and so I was really intrigued and really interested to find out more about it. And so we started meditating together. Like we'd go to parks and sit on the trees and meditate for like an hour, and then that's when I started to awaken to energy. I started to feel energy flowing in my body, you know, what I'd never felt before. And I could even feel magnetic resistance between my palms, which is a part of what I practice with Qigong. Like you have palm chakras in each palm, and you can send energy through the palm. This is what Reiki is based on, is that flow of energy through the palms. Yeah, and so I started to realize all of this, and then it just kept my awareness kept getting bigger and bigger. And I guess I remember one day I had this awakening where I started to see energy beings everywhere. And it was a very freakish experience for me, because I had so much fear, and like, you know, because growing up in Jamaica, like I came from a Christian background, my family's Christian, and I was always afraid of the dark, you know, as a kid. And there's so many stories about ghosts and spirits, and like it's a big thing in Jamaica. There's a lot of fear surrounding it, and so I had all this fear inside me as well. So when this happened, it was really scary. It was really scary experience. So I freaked out, but ever since that day, I've never really been the same. It was just an awakening that changed the trajectory of my life. Ever since then, I awakened to a high purpose of why I was here, you know. And I think 2012 sort of gave us like a peak preview of what's to come, you know, because it was really like it was really amplified then, but then it quiet down for a few years, and now it's started to amplify again, and more people are starting to awaken it now again. So yeah, so since then I've just been in this preparation of preparing myself to be able to hold the frequency, to be able to assist people in this awakening process that's happening right now. So it's really been an amazing journey.
Yeah, yes. I can resonate, and I think I say this all the time. But yes, I can resonate with just when you now. So for me, my journey was 2009, 2012 was a lot of reading. So like my awakening was via books and just discovering things for myself. And while a lot of people were like afraid of like the supernatural, I was the exact opposite. When I was a kid, I would literally go try to see where is the ghost house. Let's go inside and look at it. So for me, I was looking for it because I remember being 8 years old and just knowing that there's so much more happening. And so I seeked the information. And so for a couple of years after, just even my awakening was just an organic thing. It wasn't like shocking to the system because I was always looking for it. But I remember for many years I was stuck in just knowing the knowledge, reading the books, but not experiencing it, like not feeling the energy in my fingers, in my chakras. I wasn't. So it was very theoretical, and then it was only later on I think it got really more real for me in the last 5 years, since 2015. When I moved to India, that's when everything started being amplified, and then I was like, oh, this is what we mean when we say this. So it has now been a more vivid experience, and I think that so many people might not know that there's actually a difference from knowing about meditation and knowing about angels and God and ancestors and actually experiencing that energy. And since you're a body shaman and it's about shamanic energy and the body coming together, may we explore what that actually feels like and looks like, or for you in your experience, the difference you have found between just knowing something and feeling it in the body, existing within the energy itself.
So I'll give you an example. I can create goosebumps on my skin at any point that I want, just by using breath, by focusing my breath and my attention in a certain way. It's like a frequency of breath. It activates your sacral occipital pump. So it pumps the fluid up and down your spine, and then it creates an activation that activates your brain, and you can feel, it feels like a warm sensation that goes over your body. And it stimulates your skin. My hairs all stand up all over my body, and it's like it's a form of energy cultivation. And it activates what's called your vagus nerve, which controls your central nervous system. So it completely relaxes your central nervous system, and it helps to reduce pain, to create more awareness, and complete parasympathetic relaxation, basically. But it's also, it's like it channels energy through your body. So when I'm breathing like this, like in my qigong practice, for example, when I'm breathing like this, I can feel a lot more energy flowing through my palms, and it becomes stronger and stronger. And it's also part of elemental command. You can use this breath to connect with elemental consciousness as well. So that's an example of how the body integrates with energy. So that happened it happened about 3 years ago. Something just switched in my body, and I was able to do that. And since then, it's just becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. And I use that energy to channel energy for people, for healing. And
So you channel it within your body, or you can also make someone else experience that.
Well, I haven't been able to make someone else experience it in the same way as me, but people can experience the energy that's flowing through me.
Mm.
You get
Yeah.
what I mean? So I haven't been able to um, transmit that activation to anyone else, where they can activate the goosebumps and stuff instantly and activate that energy. But when that energy is flowing through me, people can receive healing from it.
Yes, yes, definitely. And like even when I in this transmission itself, my crown chakra is buzzing because your energy is
Yeah.
like and next level, right? Uh,
Yeah.
yes. So
Thanks.
that's common with the more you work on expanding your consciousness, even just like
Yeah.
um your standard vibration and frequency is different from a year ago or 2 years ago. And
Yeah.
I can feel it, I can sense it. I'm sure people sometimes also feel very like, oh, I want to lie down
Yeah.
around you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I gave my brother and my stepdad a massage yesterday, and um they both were like just asleep for after like just a few minutes of the massage. They were asleep, and then like they were laying down sleeping. For my brother slept for about 45 minutes afterwards because he was still getting a healing.
Mm,
So yeah. And
mm,
it also like it really opens your channels, so you can actually channel any type of frequency that you want, any type of energy when you're breathing in this way. It's like, so if you want to feel excited, you want to channel an emotion, you want to channel, excitement, sadness. I've actually like used it to help me with my acting, because it just really opens you up and like removes the mental blockages that you usually get. So
mm.
yeah, it's been powerful in so many ways.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. I do the
And
same way.
also,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
also with multidimensional communication. So like communicating with my soul, it actually, because it engages and unifies the brain, the belly, and the heart. So and that just amplifies your awareness, basically.
Yes, yes. Um, it's so interesting. The same thing happens with when I do shamanic journeys for my clients and other people, where they completely just sleep throughout
Yeah.
the shamanic journeys. But what I meant by this is interesting is how we can use the body itself, like as you say, in the heart,
Mm.
the brain, and the solar plexus center, right?
Yeah.
To elevate our consciousness and to connect with the higher self or our higher self, and
Yeah.
basically move the energy, basically move consciousness and access this other realms. And we've been talking about realms and different dimensions in the past 9 days,
Mm-hmm.
which is essentially how we connect with ancestors and archangels and different multidimensional guides and so forth. And I think that a lot of the
Yeah.
time we think it's like a mental thing more here than the body actually participating in it. And I want us to talk
Yeah.
a lot about that, because I used to be of the same where enlightenment, the idea for me was I was totally neglecting the body. But I want us to talk more about how the body fits in to this elevating and activating our consciousness and working with multidimensional guides and multidimensional
Yeah.
centers. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really interesting, because that's the not having all the knowledge is a big distortion, even in the spiritual community as well. It's like, having all the knowledge but not the embodiment of the knowledge. And that's why I call myself the body shaman, is that like for that reason. It's part, because
Mm,
of how important it is to embody what you're learning learning and integrating all the spiritual experiences that you're having. You know, so for example, with multi-dimensional communication, it's like it's beyond the mental plane. So it's using kinesthetic. So you know what muscle testing is, right?
Yeah.
Right?
But you
Yeah.
can
So
share with everyone else. Yeah.
yeah, so muscle testing is using kinesthetic. So it's using like energy flowing through your body. So it's like more of a cellular knowing rather than a mental knowing. So it's you activating your body, your belly, your heart and brain, integrating those centers together and actually creating cellular harmony within your whole body. So it's like a meditative state that you get into to communicate with your soul on the higher dimensions and communicate with, you know, with higher councils and archangels and stuff like that. Um so yeah, it's really important to embody that, and a way to do that is to master breath, you know, to practice belly breathing and using that as a tool to help you with your muscle testing. So notice that people that struggle with muscle testing, it's usually because their belly breathing is not very strong. Because when you practice belly breathing, it amplifies your ability to muscle test and your ability to channel the energy flow through your fingers and through your cells.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes. I love how you said it, we use the breath to do all this. Because
Yeah.
so my first time in my shamanic awakening or shamanic initiation on the first day, that first experience, which I believe is like my kundalini was rising, I wasn't using the breath, it was activated by my teacher who knew how to activate all of that, right? But the sensations that I felt, and it was an overwhelming experience of instantly connecting just like that, right? And after that, I had never been able to experience it in the same way. And the closest that I've ever been able to feel the same way was using breath work. That's when I felt like the energy really moving. I was like, oh my God, I feel it. And obviously it's overwhelming and a little bit scary and like, oh my God, I'm not gonna survive this. But you do, right? And that's when I've really appreciated the breath and doing breath work. And when you combine it with now shamanic journeys, that is another level altogether of working, utilizing the breath to reach higher dimensions. And it's
Exactly.
yes, I think it's
Exactly.
it's an interesting technique altogether.
Yeah.
But I imagine it's an ancient technique that has always been there. May we talk more about the breath?
Yeah. Yeah, so breath is life, right? Breath is is life. You know, you can survive you know, a few days without food, but you can only survive a few minutes without breath. And there's so many different layers to it as well. You know, there's, you know, what we're talking about now is just using it to connect with your higher dimensionals and higher self. But there's also people that are breatharian. You know, they're people who don't eat food at all or drink water. They survive just on breathing. So yeah, breath breath is very important. Do you have a specific question about it? About
No. Well, not exactly, but more of like how we can use the breath to expand
yeah,
consciousness. Yes.
yeah. Okay, so belly breathing is a very important part of using the breath of, because there's in qigong there are three breathing centers in the body. There's the lower dantian, which is belly breathing. There's the middle dantian, which is, you know, chest breathing and breathing with the lungs and using the diaphragm. But there are 3 different diaphragms in the body that you actually use for breathing, not just the main one that goes across here. There's also the soft palate. So the soft palate is also a diaphragm, and you actually use that for breathing. And if you've done like singing practice, they talk about raising the soft palate. And so if you don't know what the soft palate is, it's like the soft bit at the back of your mouth, the back of your throat. So you've got the hard palate here. And if you put your finger in, as you go back, you start to feel it get soft. That's your soft palate. That's actually a diaphragm as well that you use for breathing. And also the PC muscle is another diaphragm as well, which you can also, that also assists with moving the breath in the body. So there's so many layers to breath that we're not fully aware of. Most people just breathe very shallow, you know. And I remember when I started studying breath, I was studying people and just watching people how they breathe. And even some of the high level athletes, they breathe with their mouths. They do mouth breathing, not very much deep nasal breathing. And that's how I started first learning about breath, is because I was a boxer, and I used to compete in amateur boxing. And I found one of my mentors gave me this book called the Body, Mind, and Sport. So it's like combining knowledge from yoga and ancient Vedic practices with all the current knowledge that they're using in conventional sport, like Olympic sport and stuff. And it was comparing deep nasal breathing with mouth breathing, because most athletes breathe through their mouth, and most people breathe through their mouth. Like, you know, like if you watch people, they're very shallow with their breath, most of the time, you know. And so it compared like athletes that were breathing deep nasal breathing to those that weren't. And the athletes that started practicing deep nasal breathing were able to get the same results with less effort, because it's a much more efficient way of breathing. You start to utilize the full capacity of breath. And that's how I started it, by just running and practicing breathing through my nose and not opening my mouth. And then I got really good at it. And then, you know, it just, like, I just started to see the benefits of it and how much more efficient it is for breathing with my sport. And then it just, I guess it just got deeper and deeper from there. And then I started to learn about the different diaphragms and how you can utilize them with breath. Like, for example, the breath that I use to create the goosebumps and activate Kundalini energy is a soft, quiet breath, and that's actually using the soft palate in the back of your mouth. And so, and I've also it's been just progressing and progressing the more that I do it. And over the last few weeks, I've learned that by holding that inhale breath when I'm stretching, I can actually open up all the tight muscles and the fascia a lot quicker. And yeah, it also works for strength as well. So I've been practicing a few yoga moves, and I've been doing the bow, and I noticed that using the breath when I'm doing that, it allows me to do it a lot easier. So the breath is also embodiment, you know, because there's one of the biggest causes for pain in the body is lack of oxygen as well, especially in muscle, lack of oxygen and energy flow. Yeah. So you can really so I've been learning that you can breathe into, like, I can breathe into my calves. It's like full body breathing. By holding the breath long enough, you feel it enter your calves. And that's like how like powerful and deep it is. Yeah.
I have been doing meditation for 11 years now, and I've been doing shamanic journeys for 4 or 5 years now, and I love them. I love all these processes and how they can allow me to move my consciousness and elevate it. But the first time I did experience breath work, there's never been anything like it. It just blew me away because it was, I think for me, I felt like meditation started to really work for me in the last 3-4 years. The first 5-6 years, I don't know what I was doing. I was just there in battling my mind. But what I found with the breath is it's like it just breaks through all that monkey mind, this jumping around of the mind, and you just have to be present. You feel the pain, the discomfort as you're breathing, and it allows you to process whatever blocks and distortions you're holding in your field, in your body, in the mind. And so for many people who might feel like they struggle with meditation, I always recommend also just like try breath work, because just focus on the breath, and just amazing things happen when we just listen to the breath, because what it does is it brings us back to the body, because so many of us, we don't live in our body. We are everywhere else but inside our body. And so that just deeply disconnects us, and trying to travel through the dimension, through the spirit realm without being in the body is a little bit difficult and disorienting, I think, But for me, I now try to do a regular breathwork practice, and it's just been the most potent, powerful way of processing energy, clearing energy in my field, centering, grounding, and just moving instantly to the higher realms. And this is what I wanted to talk about.
100%. Yeah,
right?
I totally agree. Like, I think it's the most powerful meditation. It's just
me too. I didn't want to say, but
and you can actually reach orgasmic states with breath. Like you said, it removes the mind, and if you're breathing with your full capacity, it takes focus to do that. So you can't be breathing with your full capacity and thinking about the bills, or thinking about whatever it is that's stressing you out at the same time. So it takes you out of the monkey mind and into your body, which is
and what I have found with breath work is I've been able to retrieve memories like that I had forgotten with ease using the breath. I'm able to remember more. I'm able to connect more and download more divine knowledge, more of my past lives, more of just the last breathwork experience. I got very clear on what for a very long time I used to think was a dream, but it was actually an experience I had when I was like 3 years old, just from breathwork itself. And I was like, oh my God, this is so potent. And it was very clear to me. And all I was doing was breathing. Yes, I was moving through the different types of breath and so on for 30 minutes alone. And in that moment, it doesn't feel like it's 30 minutes. It feels like a long time. But it's so sharp and it's so clear, and there's nothing like it.
Very powerful.
Definitely a very powerful meditative process for sure.
So I would say that's one of the best ways to begin the journey of expanding into higher consciousness.
Let's talk about this higher consciousness, because for some people, so we might have people who are only at the beginning of that journey. They're only just waking up, and they're just realizing that there's so much more. And what we've been talking about in the last 9 days is that essentially all the light workers, all the healers, all the highly sensitive people, empaths, visionaries, leaders, people who are finding themselves in this path, all of us, we are in the journey of ascension, right? We are in the journey of expanding our consciousness, descending the soul into the body, right? This feels, it might be theoretical for so many people, like what does that mean? So may we break it down for people, why we are expanding our consciousness, why it's a natural process. It just happens. There's nothing that you actually have to do. It will expand. But just more of why must we be intentional in expanding our consciousness and this ascension path?
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons is that as a soul incarnate into bodies and into DNA lineages, so that we can help that DNA lineage heal. So we can help, heal past wounds that our ancestors have experienced, and heal traumas from that DNA lineage. And so part of the responsibility of being in our bodies is to heal distortions that are held within the DNA, and also within the light body aspects of your body as well. So so it's important to be intentional in doing this, because there's so many, such vastness of a human being, like of your soul. There's so many gifts that your soul is wanting to bring online for you, and there's so many like distractions on the planet, distractions, and like the way that society's like is created is to keep us away from that innate power and amazingness that we have, that we're holding within us. It's like everyone's busy all the time. It's just we're all so very, very busy all the time. So yeah, that's why I think it's important to be intentional, is to bring our awareness back into the present moment so you can harness that energy. Yeah. And so and and expanding your consciousness into higher consciousness means moving beyond the three-dimensional reality of just just living life as a human being, of just going to work and studying, or whatever you're doing is great, but also there's this whole vastness of your soul that you're not really experiencing if you're not being intentional with this.
Yes. This is just what we were talking about, and this is why I did the summit. One, there is, like you're saying, a need for us to heal as people, with a lot of our history as Black people, the oppressive history that we've had, and also just the disconnection that we've had with nature, with our bodies, with our cultures. That has happened in the past couple of years, centuries even. So there's a need for us to heal, and so many people think that we can heal mentally, right? I know this because I was trained in healing the mind as a psychologist, right? But there is so much more. And just for me, from experience as someone who's healed through the mind alone, and now moving to healing through the spirit, and now I do psycho spirituality, because I do think that they all matter. The mind also is part of it, as well as the body, as well as the spirit. So it's a holy trinity. That triad, we have to shift it all. But the difference is that when we heal through expanding our consciousness and working with higher realms, it's that it's no longer just you alone with your mind trying to figure things out by yourself.
Exactly.
Because you will be doing this for an entire lifetime, trying to figure one and this one and this one and this one. So the idea, as you're saying, is to allow yourself to reach higher consciousness and access higher support, higher information, not higher, but like more divine knowledge of what is actually happening in your life. Been following us in the summit, highly recommend that you should watch all the videos for this to even make more sense to you. there is support, and it is through moving through the dimensions that we can heal ourselves and our ancestral DNA, our, you know, collective consciousness as Black people, collective consciousness as the human race as well, right? So for me, I love that part because that's part of my work, like healing all these levels that we are as a human being. And as you're saying, we're very vast and very complex.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so let's talk about this process of descending the soul into the body. First, how has been your experience with your ascension experience, dropping down your soul into your own body? How has your journey really folded, and why is this a necessary part of our journey, particularly as light workers, as healers, as people who are empaths and who are called to heal themselves, their lineage, and their communities?
Yeah, so it started for me by realizing that and being able to separate myself from the emotions that I was feeling and from my thoughts, you know, and for negative thoughts in my mind. That's how it started for me, was being able to notice the distinction between the rambling in my mind and the emotions that I'm feeling to my actual being and myself, you know. So, and it's been a process of remembering myself, remembering all my soul shards, remembering my past lives and accessing my soul records. And so there's a thing called the Akashic Records that holds some of your soul records that you've experienced in this world and in this galaxy. And so you can access that, and the thing is that what's happening in your life now is not just limited to your current situation. It's also connected to what's happening for you on a soul level as well. And so things that manifest into your reality, like illnesses and, you know, depression and all these kinds of things, are actually teaching you a lesson. There's a lesson in there for you to learn from a soul perspective. And so when you start to access this part of your being, you're able, you just gain all this empowerment, and you're able to transcend these negative patterning that's been happening, you know, for a long time for you, and also able to heal things within your own body and your own DNA that's been happening in your lineage for generations, you know. And it also, like, being an empath, you know, like if you're at the empathic level at the moment, you'll probably notice that you can sense other people's emotions and sense, you know, vibes. Like most people on the street, they call it vibes, right? We call it energy and and being an empath, but like on the streets, you call it vibes. You can feel someone's vibe. So, and just by that, you can realize that there's more to you than just your physical body. You can actually sense vibration coming from other people. So accessing this part of your awareness, it empowers you to be able to know which emotions are yours, or whether you're taking stuff on from other people, or, you know, if it's something to do with a genetic stress, or if it's something to do with a karmic stress that's happening on your template from a soul level. And yeah, and so accessing this empowers you to be able to have the tools to heal it. And for me, it's been a huge journey. Like, for the last 2 years, it's just been so like so amazing and beyond words. It's hard to put it into words what's been happening for me. But I've been having so many. Sorry.
I'm saying it's like your life is like a sci-fi film,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
It
right.
changes even how you watch
It's
your.
like realities.
Do they know? Did
Yeah.
they see what happened to me last night? Is that why they have it in that film? Yeah, I know.
Yeah. It's like reality is stranger than fiction, you know? And there's been so many. So what happens is, like, for me, what's been happening is when you do this healing, your soul starts to descend into your body. You start to have transmutations in your body. So your cells on an atomic level start to rearrange themselves in a less dense way. And that's how I was able to activate this energy where I can access this orgasmic breath at any point and just activate, you know, and be able to connect and do muscle testing. And it was part of a transmutation that happened in my body after I had my first Kundalini release. It just rearranged everything. And since then, I've been able to channel these higher dimensional energies through my body. And um, and that just like started a journey of going through all my soul records, remembering all these past lives, and remembering when I was, you know, doing good things, when I was doing bad things, when I was in the dark side, you know. And just and when you go through this process, you reclaim your like your soul memories and your gifts as a soul, and you reclaim your codes, basically your codes and your fire letters. I don't want to get into too much terminology for people that don't really know what I'm talking about, but basically it's like fire letters are like it's almost like DNA on a soul level that stores memory of your soul, and like codes of the gifts that you're able to do, and the things that you've been training for lifetimes to bring into the world right now. So when you go through that process of doing those records and remembering yourself, start to put these pieces of yourself back together and embody it into the present moment. And then that builds more quantum, and you start to have transmutations in your body, transfigurations. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now it's an
And
entire field altogether of existing and creating your life
yeah,
when you descend the soul into the body.
yeah,
Um, Definitely nothing like it. In my work, I focus on, or I work a lot with the soul itself, the soul energy. That is where I'm being called, whether that's, you know, soul healing or activating the soul's purpose.
mm,
Um, like the multi-dimensional purpose of why your soul is here, not why your personality joy Mohani is here, which
yeah,
changes altogether how you show up. So because
absolutely.
yes, so when I tell people that, like, I did not come up with the summit, my soul and my guides came up with it. I just downloaded it and I was like,
Yeah.
okay. So I don't,
Yeah,
there's something liberating about that, because I feel like I used to stretch my mind, thinking,
mm,
planning, trying to get my life to work
yeah,
according to the rules and according to what I believed at the time was the most important thing. And that created a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress and depressive moments for me, because it was
mm,
always about this very outward needs and very mental desires, and nothing wrong with mental desires and physical desires. I still have them, right? But like
yeah,
there's a different shift altogether when you now start working with your soul, your oversoul, your monad, whatever
yeah,
name you used to call it. Um, where now you see, it's like you see the whole thing. You are being shown why this exists and why it has to flow in that way, and why I have to
yeah,
do the summit. I have I have to do the summit because we have to talk about this and we have to have conversations about this. But I also am very much aware how big it is also on a bigger scale of my soul purpose. And then once you understand that there's just no way you wouldn't do it. For 2 days I told my guys, I'm not doing the summit. I don't want to. Go find someone else to do it. Because I was like, oh, too much admin. Do I have to go talk about African spirituality? Why can't I talk about something nice, like accessible and accepted in the 3D world? And then it dropped in, and my mind and my ego was like, okay, we hear you, we understand why it has to happen, right? So so I think that's the power of it. Like, we can miss why we have to descend the soul into the body, but the benefit is like, I think you mentioned something to it, like this softness, this flow into your life that begins to happen, and you are no longer going against the current and you're fighting, because that is what creates us feeling stuck, us feeling overwhelmed, feeling like things are not working out, because we are just going, we don't know where we're going, we don't know why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, I don't know if you remember when you finished university, because when I finished university, it's like, I was like, what do I do now? You know, my mind was like, what's next? Because the mind's always like, what's next? Or what happened last week, you know? And that creates so much stress. And when you start to do this work, you start to see the bigger picture, like you said, of everything. You start to see the bigger picture, and it awakens you to a higher purpose than just your personality. But it also creates synchronicities and alignments for you, so things start to to work more easily and flow better in your life when you're going through this process. And you're following your soul. So well done on you for creating this summit.
My soul is very happy. My soul is very happy, and so is the ego joy. Yes. So if you're here, you may share with us your thoughts, any questions that you have for Max, any comments you have on our topic. It's a topic that I know that we are not having much anyway in our African communities. And which has been really fascinating for me, because prior to this, so I've been on the Ascension path, or quite a while, but actually for a very, very long time, since 2009. Literally the first books that I read for me was the multidimensional book. It's like I skipped. Also, a lot of people started saying with the Secret. I started with The Nature of Personal Reality by Seth, Jim Roberts. I don't know if you know Jim Roberts, but it's like a channeled book. And there I was, as an 18-year-old, reading this very big, complex ideologies. And at the time, at 2 a.m., I went to wake up my 13-year-old sister, and I told her, oh my God, we are not real. This is an illusion. Do you know? And she's looking at me like, what? Crazy time.
Sounds like an existential crisis.
Yes, I had my existential crisis at 18, and I was like doing my second year of university. And in class, I was always challenging the lecturer, because they'll be teaching us on dreams from a psychodynamic way, and I would tell them, but like, it's so much bigger than that. And they would just be thinking, oh, this child, she's not ready for this, and but those years were very, very expensive for me, but also very lonely and scary, because I couldn't find people who were having the same experience as me. And even as I went throughout, like even in my journey now, even as a shamanic practitioner, as a psycho-spiritual healer, I have found that actually a lot of light workers, shamanic practitioners know this information, but we're not talking about it, or we're not exploring it in our conversations, in our works. And I've been wondering why that's the case. Why are we not, exploring the importance of expanding
consciousness? Yeah.
Consciousness, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is why this summit is so important, and and really congratulations for creating it, because it can be very lonely when this is happening. Like, I remember for me, it was very lonely process when I had my first awakening back in 2012. I went through a process where I didn't trust anybody. I didn't trust my family, like not even my mom, because like people wanted to put me in a psych ward because of what I was saying, you know? And so it's like, it can be very lonely. So, it's really important to have these conversations so that people that are experiencing these awakenings can connect with others and can connect with us and be able to understand more of what they're experiencing, rather than think they're just going crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so
think that they're alone. Or think that they're alone.
Yes. Which has been such a beautiful shock for me, beautiful in that I've been needing a community of, African people of African descent, just so we can have these conversations within the context of our Africanness, our Blackness. Not as a separation, but as a more of like, this is where we are currently in our linear timelines. That I am African, I am Black, these are my cultures and my identities. How do I bring all of this together so that it's centered around me? And the loneliness can actually really create what ends up looking like a lot of mental problems when all alone, is because you don't have anyone to bounce back ideas with. So for me, when my guides actually started telling me that I have to do these conversations, that's why I was like, no, I'm okay with talking about, let's talk about stories and culture. Why must we talk about those deep ones? But this is important. I do think of like another 18-year-old, the way that I was 18 years old and awakening alone in my room and with no one to reference or discuss with. And I'm just like, at the time, if I knew that there were other people like me and I could have found a mentor, a support team, that would have made my journey so much better. So this is why we do what we do. This is why I'm doing the summit and why I continue. I will continue doing these conversations because we really need a community as healers, as light workers, as people who are on this journey of elevating and expanding consciousness.
Yes, absolutely.
So now I want to jump into the questions and the comments. Okay, so we have here Nomasonto. She's saying, I'm listening to you guys and thinking to myself, are they for real? Okay, Nomasonto. And my soul is jumping up and down, knowing that this is where I'm going. Oh, so amazing. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. I'm in awe. Thank you so much for this summit. Wow, we are so happy. We're so happy. Yes. Isn't that the reaction though, Max, when you are expanding consciousness? It's where you are like, is this real? Am I losing my mind? But then there's this huge part of your soul that's like, oh my God, yes. This makes so much sense.
Yeah. It's so exciting as well at the same time. Yeah.
So Nomasonto, you are in the right room, you are in the right summit. This is very normal to wonder if it's real and at the same time be very excited. We're happy. Gogo Osula is here. I talked to Gogo Osula in day 2, and we're talking about the ancestors from a world perspective. So she has a comment here. She's saying, hi, Gogo Joy and Max, hello. I loved this conversation. This is linked to the one pillar in the ancient African sciences, aka Kemetic cosmology of breathing. In my African Kemetic yoga teacher training, I teach 2 types of breathing techniques and hekawu. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, which is similar to mantras. So she's asking if you could please show, yes, I think that would be demonstrate to us some of the breathing techniques you do that you mentioned actually next area that we can begin to also do in our own practices.
Okay. So the main one that I want to share is the soft quiet breath. So it's a soft quiet breath that is a little bit like softer than your normal breath, so you can't actually hear it. You can't hear it coming in and out of your nose. Okay, so it's soft quiet, and you rest your tongue like that just behind your front teeth at the top. And you breathe, expanding the front, sides, and back of your belly. So it's belly breathing. This is in Qigong, it's the lower Dantian breath, right? So it's breathing that soft, quiet breath and the full capacity of your breath. So, and the focus is expanding the front, sides, and back of your belly. Okay? And what that does is activates your major diaphragm and also your soft palate diaphragm.
So okay. Are you doing it right now?
No, I'm not doing it. Okay. I was just let's try it together now. So
okay.
Just tune in. Rest your tongue on behind your front top teeth. And do a soft, quiet breath, expanding the front, sides, and back of your belly. Soft, quiet exhale. So you inhale to the full capacity of your breath, and exhale to fully exhale, release breath. Now, if you try doing small smile on the corner of your lips and the corner of your eyes, it helps the energy to move up to your crown. Well. And now what you do with this breath is that you couple it with movement. And you go and you do very slow movements. So let's try a movement now. So just rest your arms by your side, and we'll just raise your arms up, but just do it to the capacity of your breath. So imagine that your breath is moving your body. So we'll inhale up and exhale down. Okay.
Did you say
so raising your arms up? raising your arms up like that, but
Mm.
to the capacity of your breath.
Okay.
So let's inhale up. Inhale, raise your arms up.
Mm.
Exhale, raise down, lower. Right. And the more you do this breath with movement, the more you realize that your capacity begins to expand, and you can actually, when you start moving your body, you can feel where your breath's blocked within the body and start to move the breath, consciously move the breath into that area. Because what happens is once you fill up your belly, your lower dantian, the energy starts to disperse outwards into other parts of the body.
Mm. Wow. Yeah, like my experience is so fascinating. Just before we started doing the movement, my inner vision just got like opened up. And I think like
Wow.
Professor is actually asking this, something related to this. So using the Kashari tongue connection, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, connects the masculine and feminine energies. So where are you focusing your gaze? Is it to the third eye? This is the question.
Yeah. So yeah, to the third eye, that's where I usually start, focusing my gaze to the third eye. But then I bring my awareness to just being fully aware to my surroundings, right? But so that's what I do in my practice. But you can also focus on your third eye, and you can also send energy into your third eye, activate your third eye more. But with my practice, it's about being present in the moment. So it's about being fully aware of your surroundings. So you can see everything, you can hear everything. You know, you witness a leaf falling. You know, just like being fully aware of your present surroundings.
Yes, that's what happened to me. First, I mean, I became aware of the airplane that was passing over my head. No longer we
Yeah,
actually saw it, although I wasn't looking up, and the bird
yeah,
flying, and but my eyes were closed, but I was so aware of everything. What a
yeah,
fascinating
yeah.
power.
And so, and s- yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I'm
So, what do
glad you
we
had that
call
experience.
this
And so
technique? What do you call it?
I call it the water breath, right? Because it's like a water breath. That's what it feels like.
Mm,
Um, but it's yeah, it's just a soft, quiet breath.
yeah, wow. I can
Yeah.
see,
So
yeah, very powerful.
yeah,
I
and
agree with
like,
you, person.
and your eyes, like, you. What happens is like your eyes sometimes close when you need to go in. Like it's like being in a state of being moved rather than moving. That's the state that you get into by doing
Yeah,
this. Yeah,
that's
so
what
it
happened.
feels like you're being moved. So it's like your higher senses take over, and your like full body breathing happens. So then, like sometimes when you need to go inner, your eyes will close naturally, and you like start to move your
Mm,
awareness into the areas of your body that needs it, and so you start to get into a state of being moved,
wow.
which is a very profound experience.
It was just a little bit, just from what we experienced, it was very profound for me because I was very much, it did feel like I'm being moved to 360, but I'm still
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
So profound. Oh my God. And so
yeah.
when you do the movements that we're doing, is it sitting down, or for you, you are actually like moving the whole body most of the time?
Yeah, so the best way to start is just standing up, um, with your feet sit bones, your heels sit bone width apart, like under your sit bone, and do full body range of motion using that breath. So just move your body like you move your head, your neck, you know, in the full range of motion that you can move your body, move your arms, your elbows, your wrists, everything in the body, and just fully be present with every single detail of movement.
Mm. Wow. This is so profound. I love this technique because it really does make you become present and aware and here in the body. And it's so easy to get caught up with the idea of today I was reading something someone wrote that so enlightenment, a lot of us we imagine that it's leaving this planet, going somewhere else, not existing here in the body. And this teacher was explaining that actually enlightenment is actually lightening up the distortions in your body. It's literally that is the process of lightening what you are carrying in your energy fields, releasing the distortions, the trauma, the pain. That is how we reach enlightenment, basically. And I can see that, like, with becoming so aware of what's within our bodies, both physical, emotional, ancestral pains that we're carrying here, and lightening them up using these techniques and other techniques that all the other teachers have been teaching us. You know, yesterday we were talking about plant medicine, both the ones that we use organically and the ones that we use for healing, and also ascending through the spirit realm. And it's just like different ceremonies that we can do as we're going through the different stages of our lives, and from the moment we are born to all the time. There are so many things we can always celebrate, and cleansing the body, clearing the body, clearing the field, the spaces we're in, our relationships with ourselves, with each other, with the divine. So just this whole summit has been just a powerful encyclopedia of healing, which I hope that a lot of people will watch and see and really utilize all these techniques that we've been learning. I'm not the same person I was when I started, personally.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So thank you so much for teaching us more about the body and how we can use it to expand more, expand our consciousness even more through the spirit realm. We also are grateful for actually allowing us to experience it. I did, and Koko Usula did. She said, let me read for her. This was very powerful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you so much, Max, for staying and joining us today, and so much gratitude for every speaker who came to the summit in the last 9 days and just took us through all this journey, and everyone who joined us, every soul that joined us and will continue to join us. Thank you. I hope this expands your consciousness, essentially, into the spirit realm even more.
Thank you very much, Joy. Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure to be on this with you, and thank you for creating this. This is really amazing. I'm very grateful.
Yes, let me read this comment from Ursula. Thank you. This is so powerful, Coco Joy. Thank you so much. Thank you. I hope we will have more of these in the future. Definitely. It has definitely come to my realization how we need to have more of this conversation on a consistent basis. There's just so much to explore and so much to learn. I think one of the biggest gaps that I'm finding with us as not just people in African descent, but just as human beings, we don't have access to this knowledge. And so many of us, we have to dig it by ourselves somewhere, you know. But it really does so much to make it accessible and available and archive it online so that people can reach it whenever their soul is ready for this information. So I will definitely be doing more of these, definitely possibly in this year itself. Just we'll have to figure out, not 9 days summit, but conversations. Maybe weekly conversations, we'll continue having them. And yes, it's time for us, it's time for Africa, it's time for Mother Gaia, Mother Earth. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much. Love and blessings. Have a great day. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Madam what? Oh, okay. Now before we go, is that the name for Africa? This is a beautiful name. Or else Mwati is it? I'm assuming it's that. Okay. Yes. Okay. Have a great day. Have a good night, Max.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Okay, so Madam,
I'll talk to you soon, Joy.
Yes, good to see you. Okay, thank you, Gogo Usula, Madam Wati, Mother Earth. Goodbye, good night, have a great day. Bye.
Bye.